Nada. Alright. Looks like not too much going on here. Wait. Is there anything? No, nothing over there. Yeah, I agree with you, MV. I really love the game, and some of the puzzles are really challenging. Some of them are pretty straightforward, and some of them seem very straightforward in the aftermath. Some of them you get through and you're like, oh, of course, that was stupid and easy. If only I'd thought about it in this way before. But yeah, some of them are quite challenging. Alrighty, I think we're done in here.
There used to be a
That's the house we came from. Let's see. Well, let's just keep going up the hill here. See what we run into.
The lost car keys finally turn up on the table by the front door.
Okay, yeah.
The only doctor for 12 miles. This was a busy surgery. It says here, support doctors would have to be telegraphed weeks in advance, just so she could take a week's holiday.
All right, now this is one of the puzzles that I worked on earlier. So I think we'll come back to this. Because I kind of know how this one ends. Let's see. Let's check chat real fast. Some are really challenging. I spent more than 20 hours. Still haven't figured out how to complete the Mayday puzzle back in Harbor. Stream is smooth for me. The Mayday puzzle, I did finish that one. If you want to look at not last night's stream, but the stream from 2 days ago, which I should actually start archiving those. I should start cutting out highlight clips and sending them to YouTube. Yeah, that one is that one's interesting. It was one of those things for me that, like, after I'd stopped playing the game, like a few hours later, I suddenly had a flash of inspiration and was like, oh wait, like I wonder if it's this. All right, let's see. Overall, people are saying that the stream seems to be okay. Battle McStruggle says, Brent, do you know already who will be your next guest at the Axe Factor? I don't yet. We have somebody that we're thinking about, but we've sort of talked about it tentatively, but I don't have any confirmation or anything, so I can't give you a definite answer. But we have somebody in mind that we know that we'd like to have on the show. MV, all right then, I'll take a look at it. I have to find the very last step of the puzzle, the Mayday one. Yeah, it's there's several pieces to it. Several indeed. Ah, here we go. So that is two.
It was said to have the best Mayday festivals across the region.
That's 2 of 8 in this area.
You know what? I've never actually been to a Mayday festival.
And it looks like we're going to hit the edges of the there's the industrial district, and then we just found the entrance over there for the harbor. All right, so this is kind of the edge of the map, at least over on this side. A. Brown says, hi, Brent. What do you think about Facebook buying Oculus Rift? I'm glad you asked. I'm really looking forward to talking about that, which Lauren and I will be doing at length on the next episode of the Axe Factor. And I'm not trying to be a cheeky tease, but I kind of want to keep it fresh in my mind. I really want that conversation with Lauren to because this is the first time that he and I will have talked about it. So I'm not going to say too much more, but tune into the next episode of the Axe Factor, and we will both have plenty to say on it. I will give you a hint, though. I will give you a little bit more of a hint and tell you that Lauren and I do not feel the same way about the about the sale. It's a running gag with me. I've been harping on this the whole time. I'm going to hit it again tonight. I'm going to ring that bell. I love the fact, it's like my favorite unintentionally funny thing in the game. I love the fact that this texture, every time I see this texture on a note, 3 paragraphs and a diagram, it's always a single sentence of text on the note. I find that hysterical. Ah. Piano tuning key. Probably going to need that at some point. Let's save it. All these pianos sound quite in tune, so I guess there's another piano that thing's destined for. Alrighty, let's have ourselves a look around here, see if there's anything else of interest in this house. MV, just so you know, I've started speedrunning this game and finished it in 20. Are you saying you finished it in 20 minutes 30 seconds, which is pretty cool? That's pretty fast. That's quite fast. Yep. If I had one complaint about the game that I would really like to get addressed, and since I've spoken to the developer a number of times, maybe there's hope. But I would really like it if every time you teleport back to the case, it doesn't always land you in the same spot. Like I would like it if I teleport away from the case, standing here, I'd like to be standing in the same spot when I come back. That's one thing about the game that I wouldn't mind seeing change. 20 minutes 30 seconds. Excellent work. That's quite quick. When I first started doing this stream, I was kind of toying with the ideas like, oh, well, maybe I'll just like try to run through this really quickly. But then I realized that just kind of talking about the what is that? Just sort of talking about the my thought process and the puzzles and just what I thought about it. Almost as soon as I started playing through it, I realized like, no, I'm not going to be able to speedrun this. Like, it's actually going to take probably 10 times as long as it ought to, just because I'm going to talk about it and really think through all of it. And plus, frankly, it's really actually kind of challenging to do it in a sense that ordinarily you'd be playing it and you could get stumped on a puzzle and like walk away and come back to it later and that kind of thing. And I feel a certain amount of pressure to perform live and to get it right. So that has been an interesting kind of challenge too. That's interesting over there. A lot of games do this kind of thing, but it's certainly something that's become a reoccurring theme in Ether 1. Is you look through a window and it will frame up some item of interest. There's a lot of windows that you look at and you'll see the lighthouse. That's that I suspect is going to play a role late in the game. And then I'm looking across the way here at whatever that contraption is. And it's piqued my interest, so we're going to go find out what that is. And I'll tell you something else, MV, that's really kind of interesting. I was last night. I was talking about how the color gold is used throughout the game to indicate something that you can interact with. Like as an example, the pedals on the piano, the sustain pedals, elicit an entirely different tune from the piano than just tapping on the keyboard. But anyway, the color gold is often used to indicate something in the world that you can interact with. And I had explained this, just in kind of talking about the game for people who might not be aware. I had made this statement, oh yeah, color gold, blah, 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 interact with stuff. And what's really interesting is that the puzzle that I was really having a hard time figuring out, somebody reminded me. They're like, oh, well, what about these things you've been seeing? They're gold. Doesn't that mean you can do something with them? I was like, of course, stupid. So it was one of those things, where I wasn't really following my own advice all that well. And it's, I don't know. I found the process of playing this game live and kind of doing the puzzles and things in a collaborative way, that was insanely fun to me. Like, honestly, like last night was some of the most fun I've had playing games in general, but this game specifically. Yeah, I think the level design's exceptionally, especially when you consider that this is a debut title, from these guys, these 6 guys. This is the first game for all of them, and it's really, really well designed. I mean, I really can't poke too many holes in the design. I mean, there's things there's things that are just maybe like in terms of taste, in terms of aesthetic, that maybe aren't my cup of tea. But in terms of design, it's so solid. I'm very, very impressed. There's I'm really actually struggling to think of an example of something that I think is poorly designed. I think that there's a couple of instances of inconsistency where sometime in the puzzles the game will give you feedback that lets you know you're doing something wrong. You know, like if you're doing something and it's just like you're not even on the right path. Usually there's no feedback at all. And then a couple of times in puzzles I've been doing something, and you'll get this like this low sort of zip sound, this that is kind of an indication that, hey, you're on the right path, but you're not doing something right, or there's something that you need to do first. I find that there's a little bit of inconsistency with that level of feedback. I asked there was a puzzle I was doing where I was like, I'd really like to have some feedback on this, and I wasn't really getting it. And then like the next puzzle I did, I got that exact feedback that I was looking for, that I had commented about. So it's a little inconsistent, but I mean, really, it's one of the very few quibbles that I have with the game. And I agree with you. The narration is excellent. I think that they said they only have maybe 2 voice actors. I think that the man and woman who do the voice acting in the game, I think that they're responsible for all the male and female. Or I think the woman is. I know the woman they have does both Phyllis and Jean, and I suspect that the man does as well. So, yeah, really, really, really solid stuff. All right. So let me see here. Somebody's asking, was Ether 1 a crowd-funded game or a Kickstarter game? And I don't know the answer to that. That is a great question. If it was a Kickstarter game, I didn't find out about it until after it was on Kickstarter. It was a Steam Greenlight. It was a Steam Greenlight game, which might be what you're thinking of. Mrs. Wainwright, I simply cannot believe that Pinwheel Primary is stopping the children from using the jungle gym due to health and safety reasons. What is this world coming to? It's been there for years. Even we used it when we were young. Next people will be saying smoking, for God's sake. Yes. Those kinds of notes are typically an indication that there's going to be some gameplay opportunity. Perhaps fixing the jungle gym up at the school, as an example. It's really, once you kind of get yourself into the mindset of how the game goes about. I notice we have no water pressure in this house. I wonder if that's something to be. Oh, hi, stopped up sink. That actually looks a lot like my sink up until recently. Once you kind of get yourself into the mindset of how the game sort of puts the puzzles in front of you, because it's not a game that says, okay, chapter 3, your objective is to XYZ. It's very subtle and very transparent about those things. So you have to once you kind of realize like how the game puts the instructions in front of you in this subtle way, you do begin to see more and more of it. All right, let's see here. MV says he interviewed the developers and he asked them a question about crowdfunding. I've translated in French, but I have it in English too. Would you like to see the answer? Big post. Here we go. GameSphere. You experienced financial issues when developing the game. Have you considered using crowdfunding? Peter, I think we battled with the idea for about an hour. It was never anything we seriously considered. Although you're getting money from the community to make a game, which is great, you still feel that extra pressure once someone has committed to your project to deliver the project within a certain space of time. We didn't want that extra pressure. We wanted to focus on making sure the game was 100% right for what we wanted to achieve, and only release it when we were happy with it. I think it's a great tool for people wanting early access to a project, but it wouldn't have worked for Ether 1. Very interesting. And it's interesting to kind of think about his answer in light of what we were talking about a second ago with how solid the game design is. It certainly seems like the patience that they had and that determination to really get the game to 100%